Hi everyone, the book I'm reviewing today is called Dollars and Cents by Dan Ariely and Jeff Kreisler. I have been asked a lot about money books recently, and this was quite a good one. Money mishaps and how to avoid them. I really enjoyed the read because it goes into how our brain functions, how we make decisions, and having studied a bit of that and reading up a lot on it, this made a lot of sense. I think also the authors do a great job of breaking it down into a way that simplifies it and that's easy to use. I'm going to read a few extracts for you, and if you've read the book, also let me know. We also believe that by understanding money's impact on our thinking, we will be able to make better non-financial decisions. Why? Because our decisions about money are about more than just money. The same forces that shape our reality in the domain of money also influence how we value the important things in the rest of our lives, how we spend our time, manage our career, embrace other people, develop relationships, make ourselves happy, and ultimately how we understand the world around us. And this extract of the book really summarizes how the entire book is structured and why I enjoyed it so much. It wasn't just about how we make decisions about money, but everything else involved in it. From a chapter called What is Money? And I'm reading an extract. However, for context, in this chapter, it talks about an individual named George who goes to spend some money on a casino. The following are a few of the factors at play under the dazzling lights of the casino floor. We'll get into each of these in much more detail in the chapters to come. Mental accounting. George is worried about his finances, as evidenced by his decision to save money on coffee in the morning, yet nonchalantly spends $200 at the casino. This contradiction occurs in part because he puts that casino spending into a different mental account than the coffee. By taking his money and converting it into pieces of plastic, he opens an entertainment fund, while his other spending still comes out of something like daily expenses. This trick helps him to feel differently about the two types of spending, but they're all really part of one account, George's money. The price of free. George is excited to get free parking and free drinks. Sure, he's not paying for them directly, but these free things get George to the casino in a good mood and impair his judgment. These free items, in fact, extract a high cost. There is a saying that the best things in life are free, maybe, but free often ends up costing us in unexpected ways. The pain of paying. George doesn't feel like he's spending money when he uses the colorful casino chips to gamble or tip. He feels like he's playing a game. Without feeling the loss of money with every chip, without being fully aware that he's spending it, he becomes less conscious of his choices and less considerate of the implications of his decisions. So the spending plastic doesn't feel real the way that handing over paper notes would, so he keeps tossing away. Relativity. The $5 tip George gave the server on a free drink and his $3.50 ATM fee didn't seem consequential compared to the stack of chips surrounding him at the blackjack table or the $200 he was simultaneously taking out at the ATM. These are relatively small amounts of money, and because he is thinking about them in a relative term, it is easier for him to go ahead and spend. Earlier on in the day, on the other hand, the $4 coffee compared to the $0 coffee at his hotel room felt relatively too much to spend. Expectations. Surrounded by the sights and sounds of money, cash registers, bright lights, dollar signs, George fancies himself a James Bond 007, inevitable, suave victor over long casino odds and supervillains alike. Self-control. Gambling, of course, is a serious issue, an addiction even for many people. For our purposes, however, we can simply say that George, influenced by his stress and surroundings, the friendly staff, and easy opportunities, has a hard time resisting the immediate temptations of gambling for the distant benefits of having $200 more when he retires. All these mistakes may seem like they're unique to a casino, but in truth, the whole world is a lot more like a casino than we'd like to admit. This is from a chapter called "We Forget That Everything is Relative." When relativity comes into play, we can find ourselves making quick decisions about large purchases and slow decisions about small ones, all because we think about the percentage of total spending, not the actual amount. Are these logical choices? No. Are they the right choices? Often not. Are they the easy choices? Absolutely. Most of us take the easy choice most of the time. That's one of our big problems. Easy does it. Relativity is built on two sets of decision shortcuts. First, when we can't assess about absolute values, we use comparisons. Second, we tend to choose the easy comparison. And that's the other thing about not just money and making decisions in life. How many times do we generally, due to our inherent lazy nature, just go with the easier option? How many times it takes so much effort to think through the different choices and decisions that we have, so we take the easier decision. And same happens with our money decisions. From a chapter called "We Compartmentalize." How we spend money depends upon how we feel about the money. Yes. Another hidden factor that influences how we compartmentalize our money is how it makes us feel. That's a fairly accurate statement about how we handle money in many situations. We don't handle it in a way that makes sense. We handle it in a way that feels good. This is from a chapter called "We Avoid Pain." There are many things that we can point to prove that the human being is not smart. The helmet is my personal favorite. The fact that we had to invent the helmet. Now, why did we invent the helmet? Well, because we were participating in many activities that were cracking our heads. We looked at the situation. We chose not to avoid these activities, but to just make little plastic hats so that we can continue our head-cracking lifestyles. The only thing dumber than the helmet is the helmet law, the point of which is to protect a brain that is functioning so poorly it's not even trying to stop the cracking of the head that's in it. I thought that was brilliant. So, how do we go about our lives avoiding the pain of paying, and how does the avoidance affect the way we value money? Well, we do the opposite of that which creates pain. We increase the time between payment and consumption, and we decrease the attention needed to make payment. Time and attention. From a chapter called "We Overvalue What We Have." Our tendency to emphasize losses over gains and to overvalue what we have plays out very powerfully with sunk costs. Sunk costs is finding that once we've invested in something, we have a hard time giving up on that investment. Thus, we are likely to continue investing in the same thing. The metaphor for investing in many things in life should be the same. We shouldn't think about how much we have already invested in a job, a career, a relationship, a home, or a stock. We should focus on how likely it is to be valuable in the future. But we're not that rational, and it's not that easy. We don't just see the dollar amount, we see all the choices and efforts and hopes and dreams that went along with those dollars. They become weightier. And since we overvalue these sunk costs, we're willing to give them up, and we are more likely to dig ourselves deeper into a hole. We worry about fairness and effort is the name of this chapter. People actually refuse free money in order to punish someone they don't know and probably won't deal with ever again, just for making an unfair offer. Once our unfair regions are activated, we are more likely to reject unfair offers. In other words, our brains don't like unfairness, and this dislike makes us take action to express our displeasure. We are grumpy, judgmental people. We pass up good value that seems unfair out of spite and in search of revenge. This is from a chapter called Put Your Money Where Your Mind Is, and it's a bit of a long extract, but I find it summarizes really well what this book is about. We ignore opportunity costs. Think about transactions in terms of opportunity costs by considering more explicitly that we're sacrificing for what we're getting. For instance, we can translate dollars into time, how many hours of wages or months of salary we must work to pay for something. We forget that everything is relative. When we see a sale, we shouldn't consider what the price used to be or how much we're saving. Rather, we should consider what we're actually going to spend. Buying a $60 shirt marked down from $100 isn't saving $40, it is spending $60. We compartmentalize. Budgeting can be useful, but remember the simple principle. Money is fungible. Every dollar is the same. It doesn't matter where money comes from. We avoid pain. The pain of paying may be the trickiest and most ominous of all the ways we mess up with money. Maintaining some pain of paying helps us at least consider the value of our options and the opportunity costs that lie within. The pain helps us pause before purchasing and considering whether or not we really should spend our money, and then and there, it helps us consider opportunity costs. The problem, of course, is that the people who make payment systems don't share our desire to slow down, consider alternatives, and think. That is why the best solution for the pain of paying may be as simple as don't use credit cards. Realistically, we won't suddenly stop using credit cards, but we should be skeptical of the latest financial technologies, especially those that are designed to demand less of our time and attention and make it easier for us to part with our money. We trust ourselves. Trusting ourselves, our past judgments, choices, and responses to crises we've encountered is normally considered a good thing. Trust your gut, the self-help gurus yell, for a hefty fee. That's often not a good idea, particularly in the context of spending. When it comes to spending, trusting our past decisions contributes to the problems of anchoring, herding, and arbitrary coherence. So we should question seemingly random numbers, prominently placed MSRPs, and insanely high-priced products. We overvalue what we own and what we might lose. We shouldn't trust that the home renovations we are going to make will increase the resale value of our house. We should recognize that our taste is unique and that other people might see things differently. We should watch out for trial offers and promotions. Marketers know that once we own something, we will value it more and have a harder time giving it up. Sunk costs cannot be recovered. If an amount is spent, it's spent. The past is the past. When making decisions, consider only where we are now and where we will be in the future. We may think that sunk costs should affect future decisions, but they don't. We need to do what millions of 4-year-old Frozen fans have screamed into their parents' faces the last few years. Let it go, let it go. We worry about fairness and effort. There's a simple lesson that we all learn at some point in life, whether it's a 5-year-old who gets pushed off a swing or a 35-year-old who is passed over for a promotion. The world isn't fair. Sorry. We believe in the magic of language and rituals. The great 20th century philosophers, Public Enemy, they're also a hip-hop group, put it best. Don't believe the hype. If the description of something or the process of consuming something is long-winded and overblown, we're probably paying for that description and process even if it doesn't add any real value. Watch out for irrelevant effort heuristics. At the same time, remember that language and rituals can change the quality of our experiences, so we should embrace them to enhance experiences if we choose. We make expectations a reality. Expectations give us reason to believe that something will be good, or bad, or delicious, or gross, and they change our perception and experience without altering the true underlying nature of the thing itself. We should be aware of the source of expectations. We overemphasize money. Prices are just one of the many attributes that signal the value of things. They may be the only attribute that we can easily understand, but they're not the only attribute that matters. Consider using other criteria, even when they're hard to measure. In general, when we don't have any specific idea about an item's value, we should do some research. Go online, investigate, ask around. With the massive amount of information available today, we have no reason not to arm ourselves with knowledge. We don't need to spend a week researching the price of chewing gum, but we should probably dig around for a few hours or at least a few minutes before going to a car dealership. We want to be informed, not just about our potential purchases, but about ourselves, our biases, and our money mistakes. Some free advice. Remember, free is a price. It's a price that disproportionately grabs our attention. The saying goes, there's no such thing as free advice, and that's true. Most of the problems we have in modern life are not due to lack of information, which explains why our repeated attempts to improve behavior by providing additional information often fail. While it's great information to have, too much data can actually lessen the pleasure we get even from healthy activities. As data accumulates and as we have to make an effort to measure, track, and think about it, the activities themselves can move from lifestyle to work. As a consequence, our motivation to engage in these healthy activities drops. So even if the data would help us understand what we should do, too much data defeats our desire to do anything about it. If you do want to understand how we make decisions about not just dollars, everything else, I would recommend this book, Dollars and Cents. If you've read it, let me know. And also let me know what you're currently reading.